Yeah.
Should we go live?
Yeah.
Then we are.
No. All right, we are live online in our cozy studio here at the Node Institute in Berlin, and also live online. Thanks everyone on Zoom and YouTube for joining us. I want to start by wishing also everyone a happy new year, even though it's like 2 weeks in now. So hopefully everyone's had a wonderful start to the new year. If we've never met before, my name is Harshini. I am the program manager for the Node Institute. So essentially I was brought in to get things moving along, make stuff happen, and also I'm super happy to be co-hosting the first vvvv meetup of the year with David Brühl. My experience with art and technology is that I'm primarily a touch designer user, trader, and my experience with V4 is that I downloaded it. That's pretty much it.
It's a start.
So I am looking forward to spending this year getting to know everybody and also seeing all the amazing projects. We have an amazing lineup here today. And yeah, follow me at HarshiniJacque_ if you want to connect on Instagram. But I know everyone's relationship with Instagram is complicated in this community. So David, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I mean, I think everybody who's connected and who sits here more or less knows me. We have new people, Thomas and Susanne. Super cool to have you here. My name is David. For those who watch the stream later, maybe I'm running co-running the institute here in Berlin together with Stefan, who's not here, and then we have Maxime sitting on the other side, is taking care of the stream, and trying to make sense of the camera setup and microphone setup that we have here. It's always a hassle. But I hope this runs all good, and yeah, maybe we do a super short round since it's not so many people here in the room, at least, and I give to you.
So we are new. Hi, I'm Thomas Helzle, and I started using vvv on the 10th of December after the Fuse introduction workshop, which got me finally over the threshold to dive in, and since then I was relentlessly banging my head against vvvv, and me and my partner joined January to really dig into vvv. So, hi.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Susanne, and I, as Thomas already said, joined even later, shortly before Sylvester, and I was really like, okay, let's go with vvvv. It's last year we already looked for it and other tools, and this time vvv also changed, and so we thought, okay, let's go in, and I'm very happy to come back into this real-time, realm of, and it's really good. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we're happy to hear your experiences. They're going to showcase a little bit where you're coming from and what you do. And then we have Domjay.
Hi, Dominik, aka Domjay. I've been using vvv since beta, I think, from around 2016 or so, and saw the transition to Gamma, which I really enjoyed, and now I'm fully in Gamma and using it for all the projects that I use vvv4, which is mainly, it used to be kind of physical interaction lights. I built my own environment called Schema, in that where you can also visually program in a bit of a different way. And most recently I used it in a media project that kind of supports looping videos, and I'm using it for like small things here and there. It's kind of like a little magic kind of tool that I have in my pocket, and all of us have. That I think enables all of us to do things somewhat faster than maybe in other environments. Even so now we got the competition of AI, so who will win? Yeah, I think I will pass it on. You can find me on Instagram also at DomJANCIK, which is my surname, Jančík. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Eddie. I'm doing my internship at Studio Brühl.
and still my studies, so just learning a lot and exploring what this whole real-time world has to offer. And, yeah, just keen to learn new things. So yeah.
Sit down.
We don't see you.
My name is still Joreg. I'm one of the people who is developing vvvv. I've been doing this since 20 years, so there is nothing more to tell about me, except that I did that all the time. And I'm always looking forward to hearing what people are doing with it.
And you also present something later on? Yeah. And the same goes for Dominik. He's going to showcase his latest project, collaboration, and the AI node generation tool that's ahead of us.
Anton, also developing vvvv. I will not show anything today, but I will give my PC to Joreg.
Great.
Next one.
You have been there already, so
It's me, Maxim. I'm working with David at Studio, and yeah, it's been like now 3-4 years that I'm using vvvv every day, mostly to make interactive installations, and yeah, it's been fun so far. And today, yeah, I will be handling all the streaming for this meetup. So if there is any issue, just let me know in the chat. Same on YouTube and Element. I'm checking everything.
Cool. So I don't know. Don't get me wrong. When I'm skipping the online participants, I don't know, it feels weird, but I want to save some time at least. And we've been hearing about Bryan, Christian, Amir, Susanne also in the past. And I appreciate you guys joining. Keep it up with questions towards the presenters. And the last that I want to introduce is Julain. Julain is connected from Mainz, I assume, in Germany, close to Frankfurt. And he's running with his partner, Florian Lukas is his name, Lukas Flori, Studio Mux. And we've been working together, I don't know, it's super long ago, 15 years ago or so, back in the Frankfurt Meso times somehow, we were connected. And we are eager to hear what you guys doing there with Studio Mux, and feel free to present what about yourself and what you want to show.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year as well. Yeah, thank you for having us here, and especially thank you, David, for your invitation. My name is Julain, and yeah, we founded Studio Mux in 2021. And yeah, unfortunately, Lukas is ill and cannot be here. Yeah, I'll show you a bit what we do, especially with vvvv, and give you a little deeper insight into one of our projects. Yeah, we are a technology-driven design studio based in Mainz, and we realize digital exhibits and interactive applications. We take care of the conception, UI and UX design, development, the construction, and as well as the entire cycle of multimedia productions for events and exhibitions. Yeah, we also act as a partner in one of these disciplines. So we did last year with Real-Time Visions and IDOS, we realized 2 applications for the Forum of Contemporary History in Leipzig. They recently opened a new exhibition focusing on the time after the German reunification. And this application here is at the beginning of the exhibition, and it features 8 scenes with data visualizations showing the relationship between East and West Germany. We built the scenes in a 3D space, and all the data graphics were enriched by particle animations. And the data graphics are fed by CSV files that can be easily edited by the museum. Yeah, these 11 screens, monitors, they were already defined by the museum, and we used an RTX 4090 with 3 4K signals and a daisy chain. And it was a real challenge to design for these monitors, for this arrangement of monitors, because there were no spot in the scene or in the room where all the screens could be seen at the same time. So we created a virtual model of the room in vvvv to evaluate the design during the whole process. And we also used VR to enter the room and evaluate the designs. And I have to say a big thanks to Tobias Feldmeier, Christian Rieckhoff, Björn Schwarzer, Brian Moll, and Christine Meyerhofer, and even the whole vvv community who supports us in the development. And the next installation we did for the forum is a floor projection with 2 projectors, and there are 80 questions in German and English, which asks questions to the relationship of East and West Germany. They are bubbling randomly up from the ground of the museum. And each question was designed individually, but the entire installation should be expandable and editable. So we developed a pipeline from SVG graphics to Skia, where we read the transformations and typographic information of each character. And we reconstructed these graphics in Skia, and so we could these animations. The installation is still expandable if editing and add new SVG graphics. Yeah, another application we developed for a trade fair, where the booth should react to the passing visitors. We realized that with 3 screens that were covered and framed, and we used 2 biocams and a simple pixel tracking to react on the user behavior. And that's not the original content in the original installation. Each frame has a specific content which shows product informations. Yeah, last year we started an own project for our own exhibition stand. It's a digital spray can based on the Vive tracking system. And yeah, we are still working on this project. At least we want to optimize the implementation of the Vive tracker into vvvv and create a solid technical base for the system so we can extend the application with other drawing styles and even other physical interfaces. Interestingly here is this shows the full technical expertise of Studio Mux. We have a product design with physical computing, the spray can. We have the UI design on the screen and the seamless connection between these two systems. And we added an interface to the web or pipeline to the web so that the users are allowed to download the artworks afterwards. Yeah, now I'll dive a little bit deeper into one of our projects. We realized here the whole cycle from the first thoughts to the final exhibit. We were asked by the Art Museum to bring the principles of cadaver exquis to the exhibition space. First I have to explain cadaver exquis. It's a playful method founded by the surrealists of the 1920s to create art in a collaborative way with the help of randomness. And I think everybody knows that or has already done it because you have a piece of paper, you draw a head on the paper, fold the paper, give it to the next person who draws belly, and yeah, at least and so on. And at least the result is a random and collaborative created surrealistic figure. And yeah, that was a task, but it had to be accessible to many visitors in the sensitive space of an art museum. So we had the basic idea to combine analog drawings with digital randomness. And we created a system to capture and collect drawings of head, bellies, and legs and mix these parts randomly. We started prototyping the drawing process, and we decided to use board markers because they are easy to use and easy to erase. And first prototype, we used a whiteboard, but there we had some problems with an homogeneous illumination. And so we experimented with different kind of backlight and ended up to use a monitor under a glass pane. And that was really helpful later because we placed some UI informations there. Yeah, then we sketched the station and had some requirements. It should be accessible for almost all types of visitors and should be mobile and even should fit in an elevator in the museum. That's a final form, and yeah, we have these main components, the drawing area that is captured by camera, a main screen where the figures are mixed together, and yeah, even markers and a sponge. For the interaction purpose, we have a button and proximity sensors and the camera, which is not only used for the capturing, it's also used with computer vision to react on the behavior of the users. Yeah, we did the construction in Rhino, and it was important to have a stable access between the camera and the drawing area. Yeah, so we constructed a metal structure that was covered afterwards by wood. And yeah, we ordered the camera without an enclosure, so we had to design and produce an enclosure for the camera as well. Yeah, and that's the final station. But our main focus in this project was the user experience and usability. We defined different states based on the user behavior. The basic mode is the idle mode, where a slideshow of randomly mixed figures is shown. And I mentioned the proximity sensors. The exhibit responds to the approaching users. So if you stand close by, you get a call to action, and you were asked to draw a head or an upper body or a lower body. And on the main screen, this randomly selected part is replaced with a video feed of the drawing area. And this live feed was also important for the people nearby, so they could participate in the drawing process. Yeah, in the drawing area, you can see the beginnings of the other parts. And so, yes, that you can link your drawing to the other parts. And we also added some logic here. For example, you can save only if something has been on the drawing area for a certain time. After that time, an instruction is shown that explains how to save your drawing. There's this button down there. And yeah, if you press save and one frame is captured, and we added a process bar to keep the users busy while the saving process that hopefully prevents that hands are in the frame during the capturing. Yeah, and the whole process is only solved if you clean the drawing area for the next users. This is also detected by the camera. You get a prompt to clean the area. And yeah, we also produce a special sponge for that purpose. Yeah, and the call for the cleaning is shown on both screens. And even if someone forgets the cleaning after the drawing and leaves the installation goes back to the idle mode. And if the next person wants to start the drawing, the camera recognize that there is something on the canvas and says you have to clean the area first. Yeah, and that's a final product. Here, excerpt of some results. And yeah, we basically created a machine for a growing collection of heads, bellies, and legs. And it was really fun to invent and develop this station. And it's even fun to see how the users are using the system. Because there's some misbehavior kind of way. Yeah, they start putting their head under the camera or place some random stuff on the area, and yeah, it's yeah, funny to see that. Yeah, thank you. That's it. And yeah.
Fantastic.
Can I ask, with the light spray project, can I ask what were the components inside the spray can, and did people try to shake the can before using it?
No, but we should implement it, yeah. I go back to this screen.
Yes. Oh, we have a nice cozy.
Okay, too many slides. Yeah, there. Inside, we put some physical computing stuff like an Arduino, which communicates. I don't know how not yet, which communicates with vvvv, and yeah, we put some LEDs inside, and yeah, a battery system, and with the LEDs we had a feedback here. You see that from the UI on the screen to the spray can. Yeah, we created it transparent. It's normally we want to make kind of an wrapping, and but we had the nice idea to get the feedback in the spray can as well. Yeah.
Super, thank you for presenting this. Is there any other question from somebody?
So the spray can, that's like a vibe tracker on it, or?
Yeah, of course, it's a vibe tracker. Yeah, yeah.
That's how you get the position.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I remember we did a similar spray can, but with a completely different tracking technique, super expensive, with like radar, where it was infrared reflecting, can't remember exactly.
Yeah,
and
I think
our spray can had like little reflector bubbles, balls attached to it, which obviously is also not how a spray can looks like.
It's the future.
That was before the vibe tracking system. Huh?
Yeah, it's like 10 years ago.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you everybody, and yeah, feel free to get in touch with us. We like to share thoughts and collaborate. And yeah.
Cool, thank you, Julain. Then next up would be Susanne and Thomas. There, in the meantime, there are some other people from Berlin joining in to the studio. Guys, grab a seat. If there's not enough chairs, we obviously have more. There's even more people coming. It's great. You guys prepare and start your screen share, and maybe we'll get the people a little bit. Okay. So everything's running with microphones and stuff, yeah?
I don't know.
Maybe you want to click, when you click share, make sure you share sound. Because I think you have
National sound.
Okay, and also maybe share optimized video.
Yeah, it's very stuttering. How do I do that?
Optimized video.
So you share screen, there's share sound, and then share optimized.
Maybe stop the screen share on the red button there one more.
Okay.
Do it again. And then optimize your video clip.
Yeah.
And share.
You can.
There's also a switch on.
Das würde nur die Applikation share. Das ist der Anspruch.
It's like less sharp and
Better?
Not what you're used to, huh?
Okay. It uses to be very fluid. It's.
There we
There
go.
we go.
You know, it has to get used to it.
Yeah. What are you doing there? Yeah, hi. I will start. We are Susanne Kohl and I'm Thomas Helzle. We are two designers living and working in Berlin and currently taking a deep dive into vvv by participating in January as a learning playground. Thanks to David Brühl for asking us to present our past and current work here, and to the community at large for all the help we received over the last month. Yes! We choose the title A Generative Life for our presentation since when we first talked about how to present our work today, we realized that almost all our work is done in a generative way, even where it isn't obvious at first glance. So that may need a definition of what generative means to us, and that is the whole universe is generative. There was one big emitter of particles, quantum fields, and fluids, and bang, there it was. Other than creationists, we feel that there wasn't one big master plan with everything laid out in detail, but that a set of relatively simple rules were established, matter thrown in, and then stuff just happened, exactly like working in vvvv. And this is how we work as well. For instance, now let me get this. For instance, when Susanne does portrait photography, it's not about changing the look of people with cosmetics and planning light and gesture and facial expression in every lock of hair in perfect detail, but about finding a good location and creating a space for the true self of the person to become visible. When I do design work or work on a sculpture, I love to have some kind of rule or constraint, being it January daily prompts, a set of requirements from a client, or the natural form of a tree. From there, I follow my intuition, feel for form and curiosity towards an end that emerges from everything that went into the project, but I did not plan out to the T beforehand. So generative for us is a much larger concept than what, for instance, January is all about. For us, it basically underlies all of creation in the whole universe.
Okay, with that settled, back to how it all came to be. When we met in 1989 in a small theater in Stuttgart, where I did an internship after a half-year-long solo trip through Asia. And Thomas worked as a stage technician and designer. And then I moved to Berlin to study architecture at the HDK, now UDK, and Thomas followed soon after, working as a freelance stage designer and film set builder for 5 years. And after the completion of my basic studies, I did a metalworking internship that grew into a full apprenticeship. After that, I graduated as an engineer in architecture.
In 1995, I moved into the digital realm. I taught myself Visual Basic to create a multimedia CD for a first customer. The project grew to include video editing, compositing, digital music production, finally led me towards working with 3D with long forgotten tools like Requiem Studio and Extreme 3D from Macromedia.
I joined the project during my final years of studies, being fascinated with the possibilities of this new technology. Afterwards, we worked in a plethora of different fields together, from 3D character animation with the newly introduced Cinema 4D, websites in Flash and HTML for the emerging World Wide Web, and animations and visualization for exhibitions. Book publishers, car manufacturers, and ad agencies and others were our customers.
A little beside this was Bertelsmann Springer's first exhibition booth on the CeBIT in 2000. And we did the huge projection for that. I went from Cinema 4D to Lightwave 3D and Messiah Studio. For the latter, I taught myself C to be able to write procedural texture shaders for the included renderer that later became known as Arnold. From there, I got deeply into Softimage XSI for 10 years. Then Autodesk killed it, and I came into contact with Grasshopper in generative modeling. After a year, I hit the ceiling with Grasshopper and finally tackled Houdini, which I'm using since. Rhino I still use for product design with sub-Ds and nerves.
After a short interlude working in different positions for a documentary movie about Berlin bunkers, I started to work freelance for the language school Neue Schule in Berlin, creating a new website for them, doing all the graphics and code, and also took over their advertising design for the Berlin U-Bahn, buses, and print media. After about 10 years, I started to get into a parallel education in bodywork and decided to do the Greenberg studies in 2011, and I'm working in this field since then.
During Corona in our cottage in the woods, I rediscovered wood sculpting after cutting a small beech tree in our backyard. It felt really good to work with my hands on something solid after all the years in CG. It took me until 2023 to fully embrace it, but I now have a dedicated website for this work at thomasmariahelzle.de. In parallel, we both felt that we would love to explore new creative directions. And in 2022, we examined several real-time applications, but were a bit overwhelmed by the very different interfaces and approaches. I felt quite an attraction towards vvvv and especially Fuse, but at the time there was no inspector and the very condensed interface felt rather intimidating. And then last December, the Node Institute had an Introduction to Fuse workshop. I attended and decided to give it another go. I banged my head against vvv and Fuse for a week, fighting with bugs and limited documentation and a GUI that felt very alien after many years in the field. But although that first week was rather painful, I also found that vvv shares with Houdini the open-endedness. that you are not limited by the options and tools that are already there, but are given the means to basically build whatever you want. And after almost 3 decades of 3D, I just no longer enjoy working with monolithic software.
I then got infected by Thomas' enthusiasm and took another look at vvvv as well. One major thing for me is that everything is laid out in plain sight. No big black box nodes that do something, but mostly very small building blocks that allow me to really see what's going on. I haven't done much coding in a while, but it comes back naturally bit by bit. So when we found out about January, we decided to dive in deep and use it to build a solid understanding of vvvv and Fuse so that we can start working on real-world projects with it.
And so far it was a blast. We made a lot of progress and are more and more in a place where it's really fun to work. And we thought what we could show the Houdini community, and I talked with David before the meeting started, and I, on one hand, could show one of my projects, but the other thing which David found interesting is to show some workflow things from Houdini, because I use that since 2016, and the node workflow is really unbelievable good. And so I will do that. Houdini takes a moment to start, so bear with me. This is also a generative art from Houdini. It's the sound of thunder. And that sound imported with a PHP script into Houdini for visualization. Well, yeah. So yeah, the starting time is much different from vvvv. So this thing is, I don't know, 2 GB in size in the meantime or something. They added so much stuff, feathers and the whole Solaris and rendering stuff. The new stuff is really gigantic in scope, especially oops.
Maybe it's fighting with Zoom. Could be.
Really?
I don't know.
Ah, no.
Yes.
Oh, here it is. Okay, so let me move around a bit. Okay, so I don't want to try to show you Houdini in detail, but the first thing is I don't have to double click to create a node, but I hit tab and I get my browser, and I don't have to move my hands to the mouse to get to the nodes, but I can directly find my node browser and start typing. So I want a geo node, and it has pretty good fuzzy search. So even if I type mostly bullshit, it usually is good in finding something that makes sense. Inside the geo node, I will just create, I don't know, a cube. And you see there are 1 or 2 nodes in this software queue. But the big difference is when you start working with the connections, for me, which I found a bit painful in vvvv, to be honest. And the first thing is that you can directly drag out a connection that is the same as in vvv and connect, I don't know, jitter to it. And the flow in Houdini is completely different, because at the moment, always the thing with the blue button is evaluated. So only if I change that to this one, this doesn't make sense in vvv. So that is not something I'm trying to show here. But if I, for instance, insert sense here. Yeah, let's do my favorite. And again, for point wrangle, I can type PVR and it knows that I want a point wrangle. And if I create that node, I can drag it into the connection. And I'm totally aware that in vvvvv, this is much more complicated because you have 5 million types. But there's a recognition if you drag from a connector what kind of type node you want to see in the browser. So this is brutally effective. You just need so much less clicking. And the other thing is, if you want to get it out again, you shake it and the connection stays intact. So that is something in vvv you need to click a lot. And these two things already are very helpful. The other thing is, if you want to duplicate a node, you hold the Alt key and drag it, and you keep the connection, which is also something that is very helpful. I don't know everything about vvv, so some things may be there. Somebody said there's an Alt shortcut for that. But these small things are already very helpful. Another thing is, if you have a lot of connections and want to get rid of several of them, I don't have so many, so it doesn't make much sense here. I could create some fake connections. And yeah, that is maybe also important. I have the option to either click, drag, and then connect, or I can directly click and drag, which only needs one click and I'm connected. So this is also something in vvv which I found really painful, that I always have to click once and a second time. So for me, that just is redundant. So yeah, and now I have all these connections and I can hold the Y key, and you see I get little scissors and I can just cut through it. And this is also, if you have a dense thing and you want just to get rid of the connections, you don't have to click at the individual wires, but it just works like that. Now, let me see what I missed. You can also delete a node in the middle of a flow, and the connection is kept, which, for instance, if you have, I have millions of multiply nodes in my networks, and just to adjust some value. And I know exactly that it's the same type going in than out. And this is so much faster than if you have then to reconnect to connections.
But is it always doing this, or just something?
You can, it is always doing it if it works, or you get a...
But couldn't that also be completely wrong?
I have to explain something about Houdini. Houdini has almost no types in this view. So all your types are basically on your, if you look down at the spreadsheet, your whole data is saved in the points and polygons. So you don't have, the connection doesn't have actually a type. So this is completely different. I'm totally aware of that. I don't try to make this into something else. But Houdini as such, those connections are just showing your flow and your data, and this is floats and everything that you are used to. You can have arrays and stuff, but it's all in attributes. So in this kind, it's a bit like views. Attributes are everything. And so this is much easier, but I think in vvvv there are a lot of situations where this would very easily work, like deleting that multiply node from a connection where it's very clear that it's the same type. I created a point wrangle, and this is something that probably every Houdini user, no, I have to go one step back. I create a VOP, which is the old way of working in Houdini with atomic nodes like plus and minus, and you had to create this VOP network, and in there you have a totally different layout. Oh, I created the wrong one. Another nice thing, you have the U shortcut to go up out of your thing, which I don't know if there's something like that. Is okay. I will learn that. Okay, I actually need a point prop in this case. I can connect this here. And so this was the old way of working in Houdini. You had all your data coming in, your point position and stuff. You could also get custom stuff in and out. And in here, you had like a curl noise. So this was horizontal, and you had you actually have types in here, and this is more the mathematical thing. This is more like vvv. And this is almost replaced for almost all users of Houdini in the meantime with point wrangles. And they are simply code editors. They can have, it's a bit like C. So very simple stuff. Vex code is running in there. It's extremely parallelized. It's almost as fast as C and does brutal amounts of data. You can have millions of points in real time here. But the interesting thing for me is that this concept where you have absolutely no boilerplate, you don't have to declare anything, you're just working on points. And this is all, again, very Houdini specific because there are points, there are polygons, and there are vertices and the whole object basically, so you don't have like a million of possible things that you have to declare or not. But this ability to have a node to type in basic math for me is like brutally efficient because I hate plus and minus and 50 nodes for I implemented a gain function or I tried to, and I couldn't make sense out of something that is really one small line of code. So this is one of my favorite things in Houdini. I learned a lot about programming actually by that because you just type in like one line, and I taught to architects in London 1 week workshop, and they had no idea about programming. They had never programmed, although it was a semester about computational design, and they were from all over the world, young people, and I thought, what? Nobody has programmed? And I taught them how to program, and this is so effective because you directly see your points move and stuff, and you don't have any boilerplate, so you can just type in what it's supposed to be. And I explained to them that your hand is a variable, you order a beer, that is your command, and then in your variable there's a glass of beer, and this is how I taught them to program. It worked fantastic. Yeah. I think, one last thing. You can take a connection, an existing connection, and connect it somewhere else. I think that happened like 500 times to me in vvv that I somehow got the wrong input, and I can just grab the wire and put it in there. So this is extremely effective. It's all small things, but it adds up to like, I would say 10% of the clicking of vvv. It's really that brutal in the total sum. And one wish from me, I'm a Wacom user, I use a pen, and the connectors in vvv are, wow. I usually need 5 tries to hit it. So if that could be a bit larger, it's really brutal with the Wacom pen to
Maybe we have a setting for this.
Really? Okay, fantastic. So everything that
anyone ever used it.
yeah, I
Not sure
will.
if it works, but
I tried a setting where I thought that sounds like it is that, but it didn't do it. So okay, that will be. One last thing, like Steve Jobs. With Alt, you can create intermediate points here. And the one thing that is interesting about that, but vvv has that with the data things, you can drag additional wires out there. But you can do that in vvv with heads. But again, this I find this very tidy, and you don't have any kind of overheads, so it's not showing a number or anything. And I use that a lot to make stuff more tidy. And you can also just create an additional nodes in here without connecting them. So yeah, I would be very happy to, even if you are interested, I can come around and talk to you or something. But I think vvv would get much more approachable if these tiny things would be improved. And it was very interesting because Houdini originally was for studio people, and they were early hardened and whatever software we will tackle it. But then they got into the game community, and that brought a whole different range of users, like to small indie developers who just want to do some small thing. And since then, their usability went up like brutally, really, really extremely. And now it's a real joy to use. So yeah, that would be my contribution as a new user. And it's not meant in a negative way, but just I see there could be a lot of cool stuff. And so thank you very much for vvv and having us here.
Thank you. Yeah, great. Thank you, guys.
It's super nice to know that the Fuse workshop inspired you. I know the V4 folks and the Fuse folks were very determined to make that introduction free and accessible to people.
Yeah.
So it's lovely to see the node love spread. That's also our password for the Wi-Fi, by the way. And I'm curious, like as photographers, illustrators, designers, what advice would you give for folks looking to take their first steps into V4, or what has excited you about the possibilities so far?
So for me, it was Fuse feels like Houdini in real time. Yesterday I did a lava lamp, and I don't think Houdini could do it that well. And my laptop heated up quite a bit, but holy shit, was that smooth. So I think you need to find something you want to do. And for me, it was particles. I fucking love particles. I just love it. And Fuse does that. Whoa. And otherwise, just start. Learning is, I kept rats when I was younger, and you can, if you can give them food to train them, but the other thing is show them something new. And I think this works for humans as well. Get excited.
Yeah, and for me, it's like with my graphics, illustration, and drawings, I'm already in a generative mood or kind of have a style of it. And and to bring it now into motion, that's really I'm so happy about it. I mean, my name website is Suko Motion, and all this motion type. I was all the years I could get a grip on it. And well, I did a little bit of video, but it was like, oh no. And now I really have the feeling it's coming all together. And to bring illustration, graphics into this moving, and also with real time, that's also some major part.
Real time,
it's so cool. And so I think when you said for people, what advice I would say, like really this directness and just you have it now in the moment, and you change something and you see, oh yeah, that's the way I want to go, or no, and so it's a lot of, it's just great.
Not like rendering a week in Houdini. So yeah, I think curiosity and fun.
Oh, I love that. I think that's a great curiosity and fun. I think that's a great thing for us to sit with while we take a break. That's my segue.
Yeah, I also want to just thank you guys for sharing your experience, diving deep into these with us, and we'll have a break.
Yeah.
After the break, we have Joreg, maybe, if you're prepared already, with updates from the vvv group. And after Joreg, we have Dominik showing. And if Bryan is still with us and we still have time, then we also have some words from his side.
So
Super
maybe,
cool. So
maybe a 10-minute
break
before our super nerdy second half.
Yeah. Okay. So see you at 8:10 back here. All right, guys.
Yay!
Okay. Hello stream, hello Zoom. Is there anybody still on Zoom?
Yeah, no.
No? All left?
No.
I guess they just like
10 participants.
they hide themselves.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi Brian. You're the only one I see all the time. I don't know why.
Brian's was so good.
Christian, Suna, Kohl. And more somehow, I don't see you guys, but it's fine. Okay, welcome back. Next up is vvvv group update.
Yeah, I took the liberty to not make this an update to the vvv stuff, but just show one very specific thing I've been working on recently. I was interested in what this MediaPipe thing is that everyone is talking about, like a set of machine learning models for easy computer vision on just one RGB image. That seems to be working quite well. So I did some research, and what I found is, sharing my screen, among other things, I found this video, like a demo of MediaPipe is used in Touch Designer. Great video, you should watch it. From the video, I got to the website of, now I should have opened that before, MediaPipe Touch Designer.
I should also say, sorry, that Torrens has a class on MediaPipe and Touch Designer as part of the Touch Designer intermediate session.
It's perfect. Take that class.
Part of my class.
Everyone, take that class, because everything you learn there, you can apply in vvv afterwards. Perfect cross-pollination. So I came to the GitHub. I was looking how they are doing this, because there are different ways of how you can work with MediaPipe, and so I was interested in how they do it, and they do an amazing job in describing very well how they technically implemented this. And I read through this, and I thought, wait, well, that's exactly how we can do it as well in vvv. So they're basically using the web version of it and just communicating with the web instance, like with the web browser. Everything is running out of process in the web browser, and the results are just sent back via WebSocket. And so I took a shot at trying to run exactly what they have, and it works. So all the work was done by them, and I just had to receive the WebSocket, basically, the data that's coming. Thank you very much, Torin and Tom. And especially for explaining so well how it works, because that made it so easy to do it. And so now we are looking at the result. I've published a preview of this before the end of the year already, and just now published a new version where at least all the different models data can now be received. That wasn't the case earlier. And I just want to show you quickly what it can do, because it can do quite a bit. Faces, it detects faces. Can someone show his face here? Should, yeah, thank you. So it detects faces, super easy, one click setup, and you get the faces.
You are very confident.
But then not only the rectangle, you get this mesh. If you start the second model, it takes always a while to start a model, but then you get this very detailed mesh. And this has a lot of info. Like you get all the points, but also like for every point then a confidence value and how the eyebrows are up or down. Or so. I haven't looked at all of this. It's very detailed, the data you can get from that. Then the hand detection. Again, I just switched the model. That takes a while. Then you get this super easy hand detection. This is all GPU accelerated, and this is not the fastest laptop here. But it just works without setting up much. And you see, even such a gesture is crazy to get, I feel. Then I haven't checked that, but I think they claim something with 30 FPS on a recent machine. This is the gestures I haven't explored much. Watch the video or take the class, they explain it.
Take the class.
Yeah. Then the pose detection also is like super simple skeleton tracking for prototyping. This should be the simplest thing to get running. You don't need a special camera, just take any webcam. It works. Object detection, you know, that's the YOLO style. I don't know. Should say this is a bottle. Some point, yeah.
The person in the background is very inconfident.
Then the image classification, I don't really understand what's the difference to an object detection. Anyone?
Take the course.
Yeah, I will. I should. I don't know what I'm talking about here. And the last one is image segmentation, which is quite interesting. Takes a while to initialize, and it gives you, if it does, weird. It knows what parts of the image belong to, and this is you just get this as a texture, so you would have to work with that on a pixel level, and the colors identify that.
Red hair.
Cool.
Think about that. Yeah.
You said it like it's communicating via WebSpec or also with this image?
No, the image. So what we see in the render, this is web browser, basically. The window is a web browser.
So it's streaming from the like MediaPipe server.
The data is via WebSocket,
Okay.
but this image is just the browser window.
I think it's just a debug layer, no? But
Yeah.
You
But
would use this in real world.
only for the image segmentation, you have to use it. That's the way you get the image segmentation data. But for all the others, this overlays here, these are just debug infos that you can disable.
Right.
Like you can also run multiple models at the same time and get all the data of them. It's super cool. And only for the image segmentation you need this texture, so you would turn off the overlays of all the others. You use the texture. So now each of these models has a node and just a link to the Google original documentation of what it can do and what it can give you, and description of the parameters that you can use here. And then it has one or multiple outputs where you get arrays of the data. You know, that's just a parsed JSON that comes over the website. And the one thing I wanted to show is just this super simple second help patch that now comes with it, where I'm extracting the hand detector's data, so you see like how this works. The data structures that come with each of the models are quite elaborate, so you will have to go through them and figure out all the details they have. It's not starting this one. I don't know why. Did I close the other? I closed the other. I will briefly restart, see if that change. If not, it doesn't matter.
It also handles like running the MediaPipe, or is it something that you run separate?
No, that's what it does. It's running the
process.
Yeah. I don't know. I just tested that previously. I just did. No. The whole thing. Never mind. It's really not. It's not so important. Just wanted to show you, like, the hand detector returns sequence of landmark, and then because you can have multiple hands, then you have for each of the hands you do, and now for each hand you have all the positions that you can now visualize and put particles on them. And I don't know. So it's really simple to work with, I think, and quick for prototyping. This should be the quickest to get any interaction before you then switch to a more elaborate device, maybe.
And you said that the latency and speed is on a better network pretty good? Or?
I haven't tried it personally.
Okay.
It is GPU accelerated, the detection. It goes via local WebSocket, quite a lot of data. So it's not the best you can get, but it's the quickest, I would say.
Awesome.
It's totally interactive rates that you get. No?
And the complete model is running locally. There's no online anything.
Yeah.
Very good, yeah.
Like you install the Nugget and it
Yeah.
has 150 megabytes or something. It has all the models in it. It just runs them. Yeah, pretty convincing how simple it is.
If then Google updates the model, then you would have to update the meetup and then update that. Yeah.
Basically, we're kind of depending on the touch designer repo.
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, we are waiting for the touch designer repo to be updated, and then we can update.
So it's a derivative.
It's it's a parasitic situation here. Yeah, just everyone tried, give feedback. That was all I wanted to show today.
Awesome.
Awesome. Great. So let's talk with Tobin that he has to update this thing now all the time for us. Yeah, so up next, Dom J. He traveled to Berlin just to be with us. Glad you made it.
But from where? Travel from where? Potsdam?
From Tel Aviv to Prague, from Prague to all my desktop sharing. Oh, I have installed Zoom on Mac and I have to enable all the things. So there's any more questions on MediaPipe? There will be a second.
If there are more questions on MediaPipe, take the touch designer course.
Take the course.
Okay. I can recommend.
Can you read what they did, like from your understanding? What did they do with the library to make it happen? And I mean, take the course, yes, but to understand it. But if you wrap it in your own words, what work did they do to make it happen? And
I can't exactly say what was already there for them, because Google provides some web stuff that you can run these models. And I guess they wrapped it in a convenient way, put it all together, so that you can just launch it in one go. But I don't know exactly.
Isn't it that someone or Google or someone else is providing this web assembly version of it? And that's why of the whole thing, because you could compile it natively and blah, but that's just an endless.
Right.
And so I think someone is just providing these models.
These individual models are provided by
Compile
Google.
this WebAssembly, and that you can run in the browser. That's why it's made like this, I think.
So I will say Torin Blankensmith and Dom Scott have an amazing video on YouTube where they walk through their MediaPipe plugin and also how they developed it and how it works. And in the course, Torin goes over in detail the many different ways that it could be used and also how the components were made and what data is coming out of it and stuff. So it's much more in-depth and than the YouTube video.
And when is that course?
It already happened.
Oh.
So it was the first course of our winter season. But you can still sign up for it and receive access to the recording and also all of the project files. So also Torin gave a bunch of project files. So for any touch designer users, it's easy to open up and work off of what Torin's been working on. And then for anyone unfamiliar with touch designer, I think it's still a great way to see what's happening and what's going on. So thank you, Torin and Dom Scott.
Right. So again, Dominik, I introduced myself at the beginning, but just quickly again, I'm a software engineer and multimedia artist working with vvvv since about 2016. And this is one of the most recent projects I've done with it. It's a bit larger scale. I've been collaborating with Jacque, who is a French musician. He is kind of at the boundary between like pop and experimental music. He's doing a lot of electronic. He has a very unique hairstyle. As you will see, it's his kind of signature. And what he does a lot is he's creating music on the spot, live. He is sampling of little pieces, of sounds from objects, from his mouth, or like anything that is available, or even synths or whatever can produce a sound that he can use in his composition. And he has been for a while building what he's calling a virtual inspiration environment, which is basically this kind of a spaceship. And I have a few more pictures afterwards that enables him to just sit down and this is kind of from a testing. It's a shot from this when we were developing it, but normally he wouldn't really see the interface of any of the programs. It's like he has the controllers. Everything is automated in the back. He has control scripts in Ableton Live that are interacting and automating things. There's custom X for live devices. I have a diagram that shows how all works together, and then that basically enables him to just very quickly produce music. And he also has a live performance version of this, which is kind of minimized and more on the visual side for a stage. And his issue and why I came into the project was that he has all the same sampling capabilities for audio, but he wanted to also have the ability to sample video and launch these small clips together as he's doing the music and kind of seamlessly have it come on. So I'm just going to start with showing a little video here. Can you hear it? We can't hear it.
Your YouTube video is muted.
That is correct. Thank you. There's the.
Check that box to share your sound while screen sharing.
I did not. I did not. And also optimize for video clip, right?
Yeah.
Please restart your audio sharing application. Oh my. So once more this. Sorry. And then, do this once again. But basically the the first video I will show is from the development, where we just test like little samples, and you can hear how they how it actually makes the sound, and you can see the video. And the second will be a little piece from the live show itself, and then I'll explain behind what kind of challenges we had and everything that needed to be done. So let's see. Share sound, optimize for video clip, share, and hopefully we'll have liftoff. Yes. Okay. All right. So this is from kind of the same day. This is kind of the raw video that we're getting, and then it's also being routed through Spout to Arena and actually like composited in a nice way. And in the live show, it looks something like this. We're basically as a dedicated shelf for this object. It's also muted. The whole thing. Usually I take too long with presentations, so let's carry on. Also, I just wanted a little bit more about the virtual inspiration environment. It's not just the place and the controllers. And this is still in progress. He basically has this concept that he wants to create a very optimized environment for producing art and music. He wants to work in 32-hour days. Switching between open mode and closed mode with streaming, where streamers or viewers can sometimes see it from the outside, sometimes they can get inside of the spaceship, and he will be getting inspiration from the outside only through those screens. So that's going to be his connection to the outside world. But this is not a presentation about this, and the whole team. On this particular part of the project was, of course, Jacque, who is leading the concept, the design, Julain Hermann, my good friend, who was coordinating a lot of the work, doing all the media routing and a lot of audio work. Pierre-Antoine Busson was doing, he's a certified Ableton Live teacher in France. He did the control scripts and some of the Max devices. Jan Navarra, Max devices, also for two of the instruments that I actually didn't introduce the instruments, but I will. And Bryan Mischling for the video compositing and lights, and me for the vvvvv video companion for the slicing. And special thanks to Motse, who kind of pointed me in the beginning to some of the video sampling possibilities, even though I didn't use his kind of texture array approach, but it helps to figure some things out. So we are basically working here with three separate devices that each needs to be also sampled in the video. They have different behaviors. Right? We have a simple, which is you just sample a sound and then you play it back based on some either live on a MIDI keyboard or on a sequence. Kind of straightforward. There is a slicer that you can play, you can record, and then you're playing different pieces of it. There's threshold detection and stuff like that. And there's a looper that you start recording a sequence, and then you loop like the last kind of part of it, like few musical bars. And all of those need to have their kind of mirrors on the vvvv side and behave accordingly. The connection on a very, very high level is that, as I shown, right, he has the environment, he has MIDI controls, the MIDI is coming in through some routing into Ableton Live. There are Max for Live devices that are doing the sampling and the OSC communication, and a control script that's doing a lot of the automation detection as well. And then it communicates to, and this is another computer, a video computer, audio computer. It communicates via OSC to Resolute Arena and via OSC and Ableton link to the video companion. And between Arena and vvvv, there's a back and forth with Spout, where Resolute is selecting the cameras, doing some effects on that, like chroma keying, even though it could be done in vvvv, but it's kind of makes more sense to just leave it there, because it is more dedicated to it. You have all the controls that you need. And then back from vvvv comes individual channels of the sampling, and there is also some special logic around that. I will not get it into very depth, but basically the OSC communication from Ableton Live looks like this. Each of the devices have a specific protocol, and those correspond to the different events that can happen. You arm a device, ready for recorded, then you record, you stop it, you play them back. And then there's some special messages that I'll talk about, why, like pre-roll and mainly the pre-roll. So, and the devices are built on the state machine. There's this programming, it's like there's a repo for how to do state machines in vvvvgamma. So this is using that pattern, and so it's like, so I have control and understanding what the device should be doing at a specific point and how it can transition. But it's not entirely clean, because it's not really like completely a state machine, because you can play more things at once and stuff like that. So there were like a few special requirements that's like, part of it was just, sampling the video and playing it back, and I was actually the third person or team that was trying to achieve that for him. I succeeded in and vvvvgamma was a huge part of that. Like they tried it with wire and something else before, but you need to create those samples like very dynamically. You need to clear them. They also need to be persistent and all of that. But one of the kind of special challenges was that when you're doing a sound, right? If I clap, the sound starts here at the clap, but it will look weird if you just play something from the clap, because what happened, right? You need some of the kind of preparation for the viewers to understand that it's about to happen. So that's what we're calling the pre-roll, is having a video that actually plays before you play the sample, right? And the sample still on Jacque's music side, it still needs to run from the sound, because that's where you put the notes. That's when you press everything. But basically, we also need to record the video before and play it before it actually gets played, the audio. So how that works is, let's start here. So once you kind of arm, you can arm the device, and I will do a live demo. So just quickly. The moment you arm, I get a signal on vvvv, and I can start recording the video on like a small buffer, just the length of the pre-roll. And then when the actual recording starts, I can continue, and I know like how many frames or like what the duration is that I recorded before. And then when we're actually playing back, I built a Max for Live device that is reading out notes from the sequence, and that can be, for those who know Ableton Live, from the kind of compositing arrangement view, or from the clips in the session view where you're looping. and it reads the notes, parses them out, and then as you're playing, it sends them ahead of time a signal that we need to start a pre-roll, and it's like a separate message. It tells the program like how long before it needs to start, and then starts the pre-roll. There's also some issues with that. That you can run multiple pre-rolls at the same time. What is supposed to happen? So this is kind of showing, okay, we're getting a node here. The yellows are pre-roll, the greens are the actual audio. So when we're getting the pre-rolls, there's a sort of a schedule or like a queue of all the pre-rolls that I'm getting, and those that are like most advanced will be the actual active ones, but always the priority will be to the normal playback. So you always get your like proper sounds, and if there is space, you will also get the pre-roll, and even if it's playing, and then it will actually start. So if you look at the row at the bottom, this is what will actually happen in the end. You will get pre-rolls and then plays and pre-rolls in the betweens, and some pre-rolls may be completely skipped because they just don't fit in there. Another of these kind of funky challenges was that you don't always get like camera. You can have some latency in the camera, right? If it's a network camera, you have more latency. If it's like a direct SDI camera, it will be very, very low, but still you're gonna have some latency. And especially for the looper device, which is something that is recording, and then you take the end at the signal of like stop recording, and you're gonna take the end of it. You're gonna end up just with the like ending part of the video. But if the camera has latency, it means that you're actually getting the real sound only after you already stopped the audio recording. So we had to implement something that we were calling a post-roll, a pre-roll. That means that once you stop a looper recording, I also record a little bit after, and then I can actually use that once we have like an offset to get the latency right. And then another funky challenge was that my first kind of assumption was that frame rate is maybe kind of even, and it or like, I mean, even enough that when you play it back at the same frame rate, that maybe the jitter will kind of like even out and it will be okay. But that's not the case at all. In reality, like the frames are, sometimes a bit faster, so sometimes a bit slower. There's more activity on the computer, something's happening. So when we were playing it back, we could clearly see that it was not in sync with the sound. So again, what we had to do here, we basically added a timestamp, like information, like exactly at what time this frame was recorded. And then the playback system is actually based on the time and not on the frames, right? So I have like a timer, and then I'm taking the latest frame that I have that is corresponding to the time, and then there was like a huge improvement in the playback. And another kind of fun thing is that we have 20 channels, right? I showed in the very first slide the kind of production project in Ableton Live. There's 20 channels, and they can each produce some sound. And first we were just trying, okay, we have 20 spouts, and we're gonna like put it somehow, but that doesn't really work that well. Like to do a composition that meaningfully puts 20 videos and shows what is supposed to be shown is very hard. So what we're doing is we're kind of mapping all the inputs to a limited number of outputs in the order that you kind of record individual videos, and it will be clear in the demo. So you kind of record the first one, it will end up here, then even if it's not playing, it will like remember that this one is supposed to go there, so every time that it plays again, it will go there. If a new one comes in, it will be here, and so on, and then start to loop. And also we added this anti-chamber thing, so a new thing will always appear in the first slot, and then it, like, as it's pushed out with the new one, it will go into the kind of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And other things like old things need to be cleared, so I'm tracking like how many things I have for a track. There's also a clear message, but not always. I had a issue with when I had like a for each, and when I changed the evaluation order, I actually started, like, I had a process node inside, for those that are familiar with Gamma. And then the moment that the order changed, like, it would not work with the processing, so I have a little kind of interesting solution for that. Obviously persistence was needed, like across sessions, so when I get a save message, all the frames are saved. They're saved like one frame per frame, to avoid like a lockup. And there's loading as well, it's async. There's more kind of like Jacque can mute individual tracks, and that should reflect on the output. Also, if he selects an input that doesn't have a camera to it, then I shouldn't actually record a clip, because there's no source. So there's like a selection of which inputs should be available, and this is communicated as well. So that's this. This is the companion, right? Or the UI for the companion. Like, theoretically, you can run it without a UI, but it's nice to see what's going on. I've built it with an indication for the information that you need. So there's a monitor for OSC messages, basically the monitor that you get in the OSC node. There's simulators for different messages for testing. It's also connected to Ableton Link, which is a very simple node in Gamma by now, and that's for use for the loopers, because I need to know how long is a beat, and also when the BPM changes, so I can adjust. And there's utilities of resetting everything. Some of it is also exposed over OSC, simulating Spout output from Arena, which I don't have here now, and like I don't have Arena, so I have to simulate it. And my camera is being weird, so we're not going to see the camera. That's strange. And all of these selections that they're saved, these are the camera inputs, right? So all of this is exposed. And I wanted to show is basically run Ableton Live with the device and send something. But now that we don't have the video, let's see if it will be different. I think there's some interaction between Zoom and this. Yeah. Where's my Zoom? I'm like in the sign-in window of Zoom. Hi. When I close the sign-in window, it asks me if I want to leave the meeting. Right here. Let's see. Stop video. No, yeah. This is also if you notice, I'm running vvvv in parallels, and it usually works actually quite well, even with the camera forwarding. But now no. So let's just imagine that this is the input. I could put something more interesting, but we're gonna sample this. I'm gonna show you in the simulator, and then in Ableton, just to quickly show the interaction, and I think that will conclude it, and I'll be open to questions. So as I said, we arm it, right? That's recording the pre-roll. Then I record, so I can actually see here. I filled up the buffer, and then I can play it, and playing will play from the actual point where the real recording started, or I can play the pre-roll, and that's going to play it with the pre-roll, and then it's expecting a play message. And when everything is running, it's timed well, it works. So let me switch to Ableton Live, and I can take here. You see, this is the device. I'm now arming, and I'm expecting. Huh. Interesting. Did Zoom also steal my audio? Yes.
Transmitting that.
Okay. Better. So now we have this. Okay, let's arm again. So I would have recorded something. Let's play it back. I don't know if it's playing, but basically we can see here the interaction. We have like a play and a pre-roll. It's too loud. We raise the gate. We should get some pre-roll. Armed. And now it is recorded, and it can actually, and it's playing, right, starting from the pre-roll and then playing back. In this view, you can see each of those individual devices, simple slicer looper, the previews. So if I did the looper, that's a different sequence, that's a record, and then over. Okay. And then I can basically stop the recording for a specific amount of beats, and it will start looping, and then I can keep looping it and getting what I need. And yeah, this is the patch. There's a lot of patches. This is the main patch is like everything and kind of like putting all the devices and the there's nicer patches inside of it, but this is like what it ends up in the main one. Basically, we have an ImGui based all the kind of debugging and the controls. So there's tabs, there's pages using like external channels, and the individual devices and kind of spout handling, output. Right, and there's a kind of a lot of logic that is parsing sample IDs that are coming from Ableton Live, ordering the tracks, and doing the kind of logic that I described. I will just show quickly one from inside. So we have OSC that is coming in, and all the messages are parsed only to those that are needed for the device. And then this is when I was talking about the for each that I needed to kind of keep the order. I have this special node that knows how to like create a class of a node, and then gives me a sequence that I can go through with IDs and or like with the instances of the classes, and then I can manipulate those, and I don't have to depend on the for each to be handling that state, which can change when the order changes. Yeah, it's like it is a dictionary of just on the ID of the sample, and then I get like two instances. I get the video sampler itself, and then like there's a class that does the persistence, and then those are acted upon. Right, we're getting the play stop messages. You can see that the pre-roll plays. The pre-roll has its own handling inside of the control here. Pre-roll receiver, pre-roll tracker, and it's right. We're keeping like a list of all the pre-rolls, so I can take only the relevant one, and things like that. And inside of the actual sampler itself, as I said, we have, right, so this is the wrapper. Basically, I have a process node, and then I'm wrapping it in a class so I can do this instancing. And here I have this the state management, some of it, so we can see what is happening. For the sampling itself, it's the simple texture queue that comes with Stride, but there's kind of a special logic that handles the capacity and adding frames to it, and also the timestamp based playback. As I mentioned, we're basically capturing both the frames and the timestamp information, and then playing that back. This extra calculation on the pre-roll, some mess here. I don't want to get like too deep, but basically this is the general overview of that. Easy. So I'm recording simple frame sequences. I can actually, if I go here and press save, let's say I can save the looper, and I can. While they're like when you sample them, they are inside of video memory. But the moment that you save them, they get persisted. There's like a specific save message that also on the Ableton Live side saves like a scene, and then when you recall that scene, it also gives a message to recall. If you like, anytime that a specific sample ID is played and it's available in the storage, it gets loaded. So just like when it's there, it will be played, and it's stored as a frame sequence and a JSON file with those extra kind of information, like the timestamp and like length of the pre-roll and that, right? So I get timestamps, the kind of capacity of it, at which BPM it was recorded, sample ID, and this is slightly different for each of those devices, but mostly the same. There's like not everything is duplicated. I try to reuse as much as I could, but some things are duplicated. The simpler and the slicer are the same device internally. They're just controlled differently, and the persistence there's a lot of shared code there. Yeah. Any questions or?
Is there any question from the participants on Zoom? And I particularly would be interested in how this relates to what Bryan actually wanted to show. If Susanne has a question, I just saw your face now.
Yes, it's actually more Maximus P.
Wait, I have to tune you up here. Wait. Okay. Sorry, now again. Yeah.
It's more of a Max for live related question, because I've been doing some OSC sending from.
So it's there was a part that wasn't developed by me, but I do know how it's rendered. Just open it. Basically, we're using the this ODOT pack from CNMAT to do some packing of the messages.
Mm-hmm.
There is the standard UDP send. So let me show you that.
Yeah, but I think already this looks nicer. Makes more sense.
This is just a subpatch. It's basically there's a lot of routing that we have in between the devices, like send and receives. We have one device that is kind of spamming the target IP address and port to send to, and then different devices can receive that and adjust inside. I just don't know where's the window. This is not here. Receive simple messages. Here. Okay. So, right. You sent, and right, this is the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is receive and this is send. So if this, I hope that's Jan will forgive.
It helps me a little bit. I can go back to the recording and see it.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. It looks amazing, and I also had one thought about the pre-roll, and maybe you already do this, but usually, for instance, when I just got an fancy audio recorder, and I can set it to have, depending on what sample rate it is, for instance, up to 6 seconds of pre-recording, which means that it's basically recording all the time, and when you press record, you've already recorded those 6 seconds. So I was wondering why don't you just have a continuously recording buffer, sort of what do you call it,
That could work. I think it's more like a design choice that I try to be very like object oriented in the sense how I treat the individual samples, that I can think of each like sample as its own thing. So I need to create it at some point and destroy it at some point. So I can clear the memory. I think initially we were also thinking like having this buffer and then maybe having different points in it and markers that we would play and sample from and like have this kind of continuous state. But then it begins a bit hard to be a bit hard to reason about as you get into like you're playing 20 samples at once and like what are you actually removing from there once you need to clear the memory. So with that approach, it made more sense to have like a specific signal to begin the recording, and that's the arm, and it was already there before as a signal. So when the arm starts, then I get this like infinite buffer as you're describing, but on like much smaller scale.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Any more questions? It's now 9:10, and I know you have another 5 minutes on node generation with AI, and I also know that Bryan has something. Bryan, is it possible for you to show what you wanted to show in like a 5-minute thing, or is it rather taking longer? Are you muted?
No, that's fine. I can do it in 5 minutes, I guess.
Squeeze it in here. You can prepare your patches and then.
Awesome.
Super. Hi, Bryan.
Hey. Yeah, I feel humbled anyway because everyone created such nice presentations, and I just got a beaten to death repository I can show. So I will just share my screen quickly. So yeah, my name is Bryan. I'm Gegenlicht on the forum and VJ Gegenlicht on Instagram. So yeah, you can follow me there if you want to. And I'll just quickly show you the README file for the loop tool, which is oddly not that much related, but I might need some tips on like order of execution problems from Dominik there, because like there's still some bugs I just discovered again. And it's a small tool to create video loops and record them in vvvvgamma. And yeah, so basically it's an alternative scene window with an extra UI, this one. And it also adds a LFO or like, yeah, just a loop phase or playhead or whatever as a singleton. So it's always available everywhere. And the idea is to create a node set, like an animation node set based on these loop phases. So yeah, I will just quickly show you the disclaimer here. Just like it's still in a broken state. I still wanted to show it today because I've seen some people working on January and stuff on Instagram, and this might be helpful for them. So yeah. Okay, I'll just, hopefully I can show you this very quickly. So this is the UI for the loop tool, basically. It offers you some output settings where you can decide the output screen and also like a presets for resolutions, which is not final. Currently it's just like a list, but I don't know, could be a JSON or whatever. So you can change the size here, position it and stuff. And that's actually like, even if you're not using this for recording, it's still nice to be able to just set up the renderer in this way and then record yourself. You can use a custom resolution. And yeah, so the main animation part for this would be this sequencing happening here. It's a loop phase. You can also override, and also offers this sub loop and custom sub loop thing. And for each of these sub loops, you get another loop phase. So you can make stuff bounce and stuff. So for this custom loop phase, you can add as many or remove as many as you want. This gives you like, I just wanted to keep this as simple as possible. And this is just an option to add some, like, okay, I want something to bounce right in the last second of the clip. That's your way, the way you could do that without using a timeline. So this is like, what basically the question, what can I do animation wise without a timeline, but add some more details there. Yeah. So yeah, currently there aren't many animation nodes. I can, like the recorder stuff I can quickly show, but the core of this animation thing is this loop node, which gives you this selection as an enum for the loop, which is the regular phase. And phase type. So if it's like moving from 0 to 1 or 0, 1, 0 or whatever. So this is like just this in-out selection. And then you can select a transition and then also a transition mode. And this affects the output here. There's also stuff like getting the cycles, like on the LFO, if you want to create something like random each time the loop is finished. But yeah, these are all still very much work in progress. And yeah, but for example, if I would add this here to the rotation thing and change it to sub loop, it will start spinning in the interval of the sub loop like this. So this is like the main concept for the animation nodes. And the loop window has some other features. Yeah, it has a camera input, which can be overwritten here. So this is currently the camera input. If I press this override button, I can still use the orbit camera. And it has this texture effects button, which enables this texture I don't know what I would call a text. What did I call it? iTexture modifier interface. So I think Zivis could help me with the naming there. But it's a way to create kind of fake post effects. It's like an interface which gives you the scene color and depth. So you're able to create your own post effects, and you can also stack them. So you can add some more effects here, for example. And they're all like combined one after the other. So here's a different example. Oh, this one gives feedback. So yeah. This is like a depth-based feedback effect, but you can also like add another effect on top. And it's just like instead of having like the texture renderer and then all your texture effects stained beneath and then into your scene window, this is just a different way of using them. So nicer way for me at least. But yeah, that might get changed after some point in time again. Yeah, and then there's a recording feature. Currently you can record videos, which is based on VL screen capture, I think. Oh, something weird is happening. I think, yeah, it's weird. Like it's highlighting the area. It's strange. Yeah, but it ends up being saved, hopefully. Whoops. And it just records the loop once. There's also this feature to add a waiting time on the start of each loop. So, for example, if you have some simulation you want to load or something, like there's a stopper, we'll just stop at the loop, just wait for 3.4 seconds. You can also save images. This resolution multiplier is currently broken for some reason. But yeah. But this will be fixed. And it can also save image sequences.
It's like a helpful tool for all sorts of looping animations, I guess.
That's all it is. That's all it's trying to be. Yeah, it's an attempt to make my life easier, and hopefully some people can also join the fun. Yeah.
I couldn't get it to install, and it choked on the capture tool that you are including.
Yeah, that's hopefully it's fixed now, but I will create a forum post on this thing, and we can try to figure this out.
Because it sounded amazing.
I have another question. Why does it introduce its own scene window? What's the reason for that?
So I've added this scene window in there. Well, I can show you what's inside, but it won't really help right now. It's just because I wanted this preset type of behavior for lights, cameras, post effects, and these eye texture, like these second post effects. So that's the reason why I needed a different window. Deep inside here, there's a regular scene window inside the runtime. There's a scene texture there, and there's the texture window. Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's also maybe a nice introduction for people who want to try to create some UI with ImGui. I wouldn't say it's a reference, but it's maybe I try to work as clean as I can, or I don't know, or structured as I can. So yeah.
The window, the loop tool window you didn't show.
Oh, this one, yeah. This is separated in this user interface down there. So I'm using the model runtime pattern here. And the user interface is here, and all the settings get stored in the pin here. So you don't even have to save, and it still gets saved, which is nice.
I see. It's part of the scene window, of the custom scene window.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and yeah, this is the UI. So these are the tabs, and yeah, you guys can dig in if you want to have a look. And yeah.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Okay, if there's no other questions on this, then we would give it back to Domjay for the last part. And then after that, it's going to be a very quick end, and then after that, we wrap it.
All right. But you might want to redo my main patch, like squeeze it up into this small thing. It's much cleaner than what you have. All right, so what I'm calling the VL node gen is a way to generate like little notes using AI. The idea came about and the motivation, we were like jamming around with a friend and trying to control a 3D printer, this Delta 3D printer that is like 3 arms, and you have to calculate like very much like a special way those positions, like positions of the motors to get a specific like Cartesian position of the print head. And I was like, I'm not gonna patch that. And let's try to generate it. So I started talking to ChatGPT and like have it understand, and then it didn't really. So I fed it the PDF that described this whole process, and then it understood how to do it, and then I asked it to generate it basically based on this basic template that you get when you create a C# node inside of vvv. And in the end, it basically worked. Except we couldn't find the dimensions for the printer, but like generally, okay, I got the node and it worked, and it was very nice. So I thought, we can write files, we can communicate with the ChatGPT API directly from vvvgamma. So why not have that as a node that can make more nodes, right? So this is what I'm about to show. That is the node gen. There's also a small, very simple integration of the ChatGPT, like OpenAI API inside. That is also a separate library that's published now. But basically, the way it works, you give a prompt. What do I want to do? And we get a node. I will show a few examples, and in the meantime, you can think of something what maybe you could get. You can. It's good for anything that you want to make some calculations. You were describing, you want some math, but it's really bad in patches. You can already do that in C# in vvv, no problem. Since 5.2, 5. You can just create a C# file, generate a C# like solution project, and it will get compiled automatically. So all of the heavy lifting is already like inside of vvvv. What I'm doing is like I'm generating the code and saving it in the right place. So here's one example based on a time parameter, written an animation that is representing breath. Right? I asked it to not repeat it entirely. I'm not sure it hit this time. I think other attempts that I had, there was like a variation parameter that it came up with. But basically, you see, I get a time. Here to visualize it, I created like a linear spread of time. So right, I have like a whole kind of time graph, and you can see this is the kind of function it came up with. It's not like the sine wave exactly. It's more like, right, and that's nice. That's nice. Like if you were trying to patch that, maybe it would take a moment. When I open it, it opened the CS project. I don't know why, not the patch itself. Right, this was the code it generated. Okay, well, we got some breath duration. Could be also a parameter, but it's not. Then it came up with some easing function, and it gives us the breath. Then I tried some string processing. Right, like it doesn't have to be animation. It doesn't have to be just numbers. Something that I also thought would be maybe slightly annoying to patch, but in general, like it could be any string processing. I asked it to create the standard kind of shift cipher, very old school cipher that is very easy to break, but it's also very easy to generate. And it created this encrypt string node that can shift in the alphabet, and it's not entirely trivial when you're handling some strings. So it also handled just some, right? It just checks like all this kind of annoying stuff that you would take a moment to write, but there it is right away. and I'm showing shifting 3 forwards, shifting 3 backward. We get back to the same thing. I asked it to surprise me with some nice animation based on the time parameter. Yeah, I mean, we can have that. Right, and it created this thing called animation helper, and inside of it, it did something that just does kind of sine waves, like does some degree calculation in this spiral, which was actually nice. Give some speed, so some expansion rate. We can play with the parameters. Let me scroll this. No, yeah, right. No. Right, so this is different speed, so I have a different shape. It looks like a snail or something. And I asked also, I gave it in the prompt, and I will show the prompt template in a second. It knows how to properly use the vector types of vvv, right? So it includes Stride mathematics. It's using the enumerable, basically the instructions that are in the Gradle documentation. It has a piece of that. So you can ask it, okay, create a star shape with number of ends, inner and outer radius as input and vector2 as output. And this is the star node, right? That comes with vvv. I think in VV you have like two more parameters, but basically, okay, we have this, we have the inner, we have the outer, we get a sequence of vector 2s, and when we visualize them as a polygon, we get a star. And lastly, this was 2 days ago, another jam with another friend, and he's really into voids, so it was like, can it make void simulation? Simulate void movement, iteratively in using vector2, use 2 output arguments for position and velocities, ensure that you stick to this is already part of the regular prompt, but if I didn't do that, ensure that you stick to the template, implement all functions, do not use placeholders. It just went like like implementation here. We don't want that. It's part of the prompt. So if I restart, we can see the void simulation running. No. Right, these are voids. They're flying somewhere, but they're basically getting set with all this. There's a few nice parameters. We have separation distance, cohesion strength, alignment strength. Alignment strength is like if they will keep going in the same direction. Separation strength, how far they're gonna be, the distance. Cohesion strength, if I do this too much, they're gonna kind of like stick together, and now they're just flying with some fixed spaceship somewhere. So and this one, if we look inside, it's much like that's the most complex of them all. I didn't show the star first, right? It's kind of simple. It does some basic trigonometry kind of calculations to do the circle, inner circle, outer circle, and in the void simulation, it's also, if you tell it, it can do out parameters, so we get to outputs, and basically now we have this nicely clean code in factored into specific alignment calculation, cohesion calculation, separation, and all of that comes together to do the void simulation. So it's all one shot, meaning that I can just give it like one prompt, and I'm not exposing like a full chat and like improvement. It could be, you can feedback the file. This is just the very first version. But for even like for more complex things, I would maybe suggest just do it in ChatGPT, like in a chat. You can feed in files, you can analyze things, and like you can work like that. But for this course, so any ideas for prompts?
We create the node gem node itself.
It doesn't know what the nodes in.
Yeah, describe it. Nodes that communicate with that.
Getting crazy.
It's a GPT. I would have to give the whole template. Create this C# function and save it in a file. It would probably do something, but let's see. I'm not really indicating the progress, but okay. ChatGPT function generated. It broke everything. that can happen if it like does something that doesn't compile, right? Then it breaks the solution. We can see, okay, right? It tries to import like the OpenAI. Like an OpenAI library to do the communication. So I would have to fix that, right? We have using OpenAI. I don't have that in the environment. It doesn't do it, but okay, it would call to ChatGPT and it would save the file, right? Which is basically what it. So it could work, but it's expecting like an API key somewhere, and it's more like a unfinished thing. But also for starting out, you can do it. I will just delete it for now.
Suna has a prompt.
And something maybe that
Suna has an opinion.
Suna has a prompt.
Yeah. I just also posted it in the chat. You could see if it can create a Windows activation key.
Okay.
I could use it for versions. Thank you.
Like that. Activation key.
It's not part of the. It's just files.
Yeah, let's see what that will do. This is normal behavior. It will clear the output and then it will fail to generate until it returns. It still needs to be cleaned up. Each call will, this is connecting to the API of OpenAI, right? And I'm only allowing you to put it in the environment variable. I don't want to put their API keys into the patches. It will usually take about half a cent to 2 cents per generation, depending on the complexity of the function. So Windows activation key retriever, retrieve window activation key. Okay, that's kind of empty, but I don't know.
It would have been a cheap Windows key.
But it's doing something, okay. Windows activation key retriever. Yes, so it will. Oh wow. Select from software licensing service from management searcher.
It probably actually works. It's what Microsoft uses.
Okay, it does. I think the use cases are actually right. Like having some math animation function generating
Superformer?
What is for superformer?
It's called the superformer.
Yeah.
I don't know, to generate a node using this superformula. How would we formulate it?
I don't know. Do superformula.
It's one word. One word.
One word. Maybe we'll get it.
It's a lot of referencing. I don't know what the inputs and outputs are.
Yeah. In the meantime, I will, the heart of this and a lot of generative AI applications, right, is the prompt. So what is it? We have generate.NET C# 6 C# code according to the following template. We have the template that basically starts with the C# template. I'm doing something that's sort of that they should be replaced. Some things I'm replacing immediately, like date, because if you ask ChatGPT to do today's date, it will be very wonky. It will do It will give you a date, but it won't be now. There's some specifics. Created meaningful class name. Then I parse that out and I use it as the file name to save it. That also results in sometimes overwriting the file. That's something that could be improved. Name the function arguments well. Namespace name is namespace. This is something that I feed in based on you provided like the project directory, so it will give the namespace name. And use IEnumerable for lists. So we stick to the VL way. And then here comes the prompt. Ensure that you stick to the template, implement all functions, and respond with C# code alone. So I don't get anything else, but then I parse it out with regex. Yeah, like you could, oh, of course, I can do that. Here is your code, and you pay for that shit.
So it only works with the paid version?
This is with the API. It's like the paid version, you get the interface and you can use it in your browser session, but it's not something that you can actually call as an API. It's like a separate thing where you just put some credits on it, and it will charge you based on the usage. It's like two separate ways. Is there an easier way to do like group regex matching? Or I don't know, I ended up with this insane patch to do that. But it takes out the code, it takes out the class name, and then saves it. I have this node writer that can just create those nodes, like separate out of AI or anything.
Can you just have a node for just generating strings? That was saved like.
Yeah. Anyways, and this is there's another library. So this library is VL NodeGen. It's a NuGet. There's also VL OpenAI Simple, which is also a NuGet. I saw that there's VL OpenAI version level builder 3 years ago. It doesn't have all the models, and I only found it when I tried to push this VL OpenAI NuGet, and it was like 403, 403. Like, what is that? It was already there. And this is the only node I exposed. Just chat. You can push in something, and you kind of get a list of messages, and you can communicate with the AI. And let's see if we got something. Super formula calculator. Wow. Super formula. Calculate super formula. N values. N values.
Yeah.
N2 values. And what is a super?
Make me a note which explains the super.
So it gave us a spread from a spread.
I thought it would be a spread of vector 2 in the end, not like points around.
I could ask it to.
There's also a 3. Yeah, it's a question. What are the floats now?
Oh, I said only vector 2. So let's see that. But yeah, so I guess let's see what the code was. Super formula generated. That's another one now. Super formula generated, generate super formula, Resolute sequence to vector. But these are not listen. That's
cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so we get 10 points. Let's expand this, and now
500.
Can someone like explain in brief what is the super formula?
Just visualize it.
It creates a lot of different shapes from one formula that are very interesting, and you can perfectly use it for generative use.
Okay. For nice defaults of the parameters.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing why it would be great to have like the thing that you can iterate on the node, right? Because when it regenerates it from scratch, you're gonna end up with something slightly different. It may change the naming, and then the links are not gonna be ideal. But let's see. So we have the points. We have all these beautiful realizers, and what happens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was getting some. Oh, I don't know. Okay, that's a circle. That's not a number. Okay. I don't know.
Maybe the minus is not Yeah.
Oh, okay, a circle and a dot.
Yeah.
Okay.
More points.
I'm giving it more points.
Make them smaller.
Okay, that's starting to look interesting.
Low res Pac-Man.
It's possible that you need like 200 points or 500.
Whoa.
And very small ones. It does quite complicated, elaborate.
See, and it's like increasing the sample rate, right? It's like, which is nice. It's like the resolution.
Yeah.
And we're getting, I don't know, we can just put an L4 on this one. That's the nice thing, right? You command these. You get this like node, and then you can just integrate it immediately into all the real time.
That's real generative work in a way. This is how the universe turned out about. Suddenly it all works together. After hundreds of
By the way, you were asking about this, like how you drag onto a link. You cannot drag, but you can at least click on it and create.
But that creates errors 50% of the time for me. Even a simple multiply comes up right. So that doesn't work for me.
The other question was about deleting links, and I think it was a shift. Press shift, right? I think.
With the mouse button.
No, it just selects the links.
Whoa. Kidding.
There's like a control or shift, I forgot. One of them. Okay. And then it only selects links, you know what I mean? And then you can just delete them.
Yeah. That's how I do it.
It's control or shift.
It's really extremely fast if you just hold Y and go through them. Because you can be very elaborate what you want to delete and what you don't want to delete. Selecting it's a bit more cumbersome if there are a lot of nodes.
Does this look like the super formula?
I couldn't.
I don't have it.
It looks like a formula.
It is, and it's super, yeah.
But it has these weird
super formula.
parameters that I
It's good,
remember.
then you know what it is. There's a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could actually be.
That concludes the demo.
Super cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the folks that are in the room for braving the frosty day today and for being here, and for the folks online also. Thanks everyone for spending your Friday evening with us. For me, this is super exciting. Like I said, I downloaded it, and that was the extent of my V4 experience. So I hope by next session I can make a circle. This is really my goal. And so, or use Node 10 now. So yeah, thanks everyone. I want to also say thank you to Amir and also Maxime for supporting us with the stream. Thank you to Joreg and the V4 team. And we're hoping to do the V4 meetups on a more regular, consistent basis. So for anyone that's tuning into the recording or still online with us, I think as we've seen from today, it doesn't matter how much experience you have with V4. If you're making something, if you want to share what you're working on, please do so. Like, this is a safer space to do that and also to connect with lots of people. So, yes.
Thank you, Ashini. Thanks for hosting. So, see you around, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See you
Bye.
next stream. Bye.